Ron DeSantis just hinted at something that basically every Republican politician and conservative mainstream host and pundit, and even those who portray themselves as being independent but still want to be in that conservative inner circle mainstream, are afraid to talk about, and that is the legal immigration problem that has been plaguing America for decades. It's long overdue to have a serious talk about the immigration problem, immigration reform, and I don't mean that in the Orwellian sense of the term, because to Democrats that obviously means just expediting the legal status, just granting amnesty to the criminal illegal aliens who have invaded us. To Republicans, that just means slowing down or maybe trying to stop the influx of illegals and then deporting some of them. But I'm talking about real immigration reform. I'm talking about an immigration moratorium, the end of all immigration into the United States, and banning people who come here legally, who are not native-born or natural-born Americans, from holding political office of any kind. This issue is finally starting to get noticed, and one of the reasons is the very interesting mayoral race in Minneapolis recently, where incumbent Democrat Jacob Frey was facing off against a Somali immigrant. And this account on Twitter posted some fascinating insight into what happened there, and is really a microcosm about how legal immigrants have been ruining America for generations. Someone's got to say it, right? Subscribe to my channel if you're new, by the way, because obviously you're not going to get independent and politically incorrect, unfiltered analysis like this anywhere else. A significant number of Somalians in Minneapolis didn't vote for ethnic Somali mayoral candidate Omar Fattah due to Fattah being part of the Dawood clan rather than the Hawaii clan, or however you pronounce this. These deep-seated clan wars allowed Jacob Frey to rally the key community leaders from the Hawaii clan to hold off a challenge from Fattah. Representative Ilhan Omar, who endorsed Fattah, of course, because he's a fellow Somali, because every race except for an ethnic group except for white people are allowed, encouraged, totally acceptable for them to have ethnic priorities, in-group preferences, ethnocentrism. But white people are terrible white supremacists, Nazis when they do that, of course. So it goes on to say that Representative Ilhan Omar, who endorsed Fattah and is part of the Dawood clan, is reportedly the next target of Hawaii community leaders as they're emboldened by their proxy victory over the Dawood in the mayoral election. She will possibly face a primary challenge on tribal grounds. Ron DeSantis then responded to this post, probably after Matt Walsh kind of paved the path for this, using the same terminology, talking about tribal blood feuds, asking, how does importing ancient tribal blood feuds from halfway across the world into our country benefit the American people? For many Republicans, mass immigration, no matter where, is good so long as it's legal. Brain dead thinking. Yes, let me just translate that. Let me put that in a little bit more bold terms for you, Governor DeSantis. Legal immigration, particularly from third world, non-white countries, is destroying America. As far as I'm concerned, foreigners shouldn't be allowed to come into America for anything other than a 2-week vacation. But we've allowed countless millions of them to flood into our country and, like Ilhan Omar, take political office. Even though the Founding Fathers knew that if someone ran for president and was from a foreign country, they would have conflicts of interest, perhaps a dual loyalty, allegiance to another country, another ethnic group. And so they forbid that. But they had a major oversight because we allow, not just them, but other politicians throughout all of America's history, we allow people like Ilhan Omar to come here and then take political power and then leverage our government to try to benefit her ethnic group and her homeland back halfway around the world.
qofka Soomaaliga ah waa qof cadow sare ah dadkaasoo kaleetana magaaladayna nool dhex nool yihiin.
In America, nobody should be campaigning for a candidate for any political office in a foreign language. But because we've allowed so many legal immigrants to come to the United States and have children who then they discourage from assimilating as well, it takes several generations usually for the children of immigrants to actually assimilate into American culture, if ever. So now we have American politicians in American cities like Jacob Fry having to cater to foreigners in hopes of winning an election in America. This was one of his campaign ads.
Maaga Egawa Jacob Fry, Doke Magalada, Minneapolis. Damaan, Shaabka Somaliyed, Kayamid, Mogadishu, Garowe, Hargeisa, Bosaso.
Let me just translate this for you. My city and our country has been so overrun by foreigners that many American politicians have to cater to them in order to win positions of power. And so now we're even sinking so far in the depths of hell that we are learning foreign languages in order to virtue signal to them. This has no place in an American city. This is the Somali immigrant who was running for mayor, again, speaking in a foreign language, waving a foreign flag. Here's President Trump speaking about Ilhan Omar and what a mistake it was to allow her into this country.
I look at somebody that comes from Somalia where they don't have anything. They don't have police, they don't have military, they don't have anything. All they have is crime. And she comes in and tells us how to run our country. The Constitution says this, the Constitution. The whole thing is crazy.
It is crazy, which is why it's long overdue that we end all immigration. Immigration was fine in moderation many generations ago. Like most things in moderation, you can have chocolate ice cream for dessert once a week, a couple times a week. You start having it for dessert every single night. You start having a second helping. You start eating it for breakfast. You start eating it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then it will kill you.
But look, at the end of the day, what this really comes down to is this, Jesse. Who lives in your country determines what your country is, right? Haiti doesn't work as a country. Like, it just doesn't. People have tried forever. People have spent billions of dollars trying to make Haiti work as a project. Haiti doesn't work. If you take Haiti and you move it to America, it's not going to work here. Somalia doesn't work as a country, has never worked as a country. You take Somalia out of Somalia, you put it here, it's not going to work any better. It's not about how you feel about an individual immigrant. It's about the policy at a systemic scale. If you move the third world to the first world, eventually we become the third world. And that's not good for us. It's not good for anybody who wants to live here in the future.
That's great, but we're still going to have to go much, much further than that. And we're going to have to get through to President Trump because I don't know what this nonsense was that he was speaking last night on his interview with Laura Ingraham on Fox News.
Folks
It got cut off there. She says a lot of folks are not thrilled about
this idea of hundreds of thousands of foreign students in the United States. We have about 350,000 Chinese. One point during COVID, you were going to, push to, get them out, but that was pulled back. You've said as many as 600,000 Chinese students could come to the United States. Why, sir, is that a pro-MAGA position when so many American kids want to go to school and there are places not for them, and these universities are getting rich off Chinese money?
Sure. Never said about China, but we do have a lot of people coming in from China. We always have, China and other countries.
India.
We also have a massive system of colleges and universities. And if we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy.
We should cut it to zero, actually. No foreign students, period.
You would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business.
So what?
Well, I think that's a big deal.
Are they fans
You would have the
of the United States?
So this country is so screwed that the American universities are being kept afloat by foreign money, and somehow that's okay?
Yeah, but you would have, as you know, historically, black colleges and universities would all be out of business. You would have a system of colleges and universities would
so
go
we're
down
dependent
the
on China to keep our university system going?
But I think it's good to have, I actually think it's good to have outside countries. Look, I want to be able to get along with the world.
They're not the French. They're the Chinese. They spy on us. They steal our intellectual property.
What, do you think the French are better?
Yeah.
Really? I don't know. I'll tell you, I'm not so sure. We've had a lot of problems with the French.
Now, I'm willing to bet that this has to do with a key component of his trade deal. He thinks that it's a better idea for us to get cheap Chinese crap if we then allow 600,000 Chinese to come to our country. But it gets even worse because now he's on board with Elon Musk's and Vivek Ramaswamy's plan to flood America with Indian workers on the H-1B visa, work visa, in order to then take jobs from Americans. This is just stunning.
There's never going to be a country like what we have right now.
And does that
the
mean
Republicans have to talk about it, Laura.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we
a
have
country
plenty of talented people
no,
here.
you don't. No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have. You don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Why are we importing foreigners into America to make missiles? See, you could tell what kind of servants of Satan have been whispering into his ear. Mr. President, we need all these foreign workers in order to build weapons to, further protect Israel. So we're going to have to send a very loud and clear message to President Trump about this and his inner circle, who can then relay the message to him, to Donald Trump Jr., to Eric Trump, to Lara Trump. Just like the message that was sent after President Trump posted endorsing a 50-year mortgage after one of his advisors, Bill Polt, sold him on the idea, which then sparked absolute understandable outrage and mockery online. Many people just thought it was a meme that somebody posted making fun of the ridiculous financial system. But it was a real idea that he endorsed. And now the White House, his staff, are furious that Bill Polt sold him on that idea. And then without talking about it with anybody, he just floated it on social media. So there's huge backlash from conservative allies, the White House staff, from business leaders, and lawmakers. And after this ridiculous interview that he did last night with Laura Ingraham on Fox News, we have to send an even louder message that we will not tolerate any more H-1B work visas to be allowed to flood America with foreign workers. Indians are the new racial group that Republicans and Democrats are now catering to and virtue signaling to, hoping to win over their votes, because there are so many of them that we allowed in. And that was clear this year, a few weeks ago, with the Happy Diwali messages being posted on social media, flooding social media from Republicans and Democrats. Most Americans had never heard of Diwali. I would be willing to bet that the only ones who did were people who used to watch The Office, the popular funny show, because there was an episode in there about them, I believe, trying to become inclusive and celebrating or commemorating the holiday. And so now this year, it was just a pathetic virtue signal. And even President Trump celebrated Diwali by lighting some candles in the Oval Office. You see, this is what too much legal immigration does to a country. It destroys the culture. Here is a Muslim immigrant over there in the UK warning people not to make snowmen, because that's against Islam.
Alaikum, brothers and sisters, it's snowing, so the people are gonna go outside and have fun. So no problem, go have that fun in the snow. But listen, don't disobey Allah in the process. One of the ways that some might disobey Allah in the snow is by making images, making snowmen. And remember, this is very dangerous, or it could be very dangerous, because the Prophet ﷺ said that the people that are punished the most severely on the Day of Judgment.
Okay, I must admit that I did not double and triple fact check this. And so I'm really starting to wonder if maybe this is an AI parody of the Muslim invasion of the UK. Let me just do a quick Google search on this, just to be sure. Shall we? Is building snowmen against Islam? This is the AI overview. Building snowmen is a subject of debate among Islamic scholars due to the general prohibition on making images or figures of animate beings in Islam. There isn't a single universally accepted ruling, and opinions vary. Okay, so this guy is actually being serious. This is a new one for me. So now apparently the Brits aren't supposed to be making snowmen because that might upset all of those Muslim immigrants. And speaking of Indian immigrants, that YouTuber, Tyler Oliveira, actually did post his documentary showing the Diwali celebration over there, which, in case you haven't heard, this is not a mud-throwing festival. Over in India, this is largely a Hindu country, cows are seen as these divine beings. And so in this particular village, they celebrate Diwali every year by gathering a bunch of cow dung and then dancing in it and throwing it at each other. And so this YouTuber went over there because he thought it was like maybe an urban legend, and he discovered it and participated in it, okay, and found out that it's real. And when he shared this little teaser with the world, he started getting countless threats from Indians who were very upset that he was showing people what they do over there in certain parts to celebrate Diwali. He trolled them, making this lengthy post saying, after much consideration, I've decided he will not be releasing his documentary capturing India's poop-throwing festival, noting that he really had been doxxed and threatened by thousands of Indians over the last several weeks. Tens of thousands of Indians have turned his life into living hell. His family's been attacked in ways that he could not imagine. And responding to this was Dinesh D'Souza, an Indian immigrant himself, who said, how about commenting on this festival? It seems like the future belongs to the poop throwers, noting a chart of the median household income by ethnic groups in the U.S., lumping Indians in with Asians, okay? But we all know that that's because of the Chinese and Japanese. But Dinesh took it upon himself to add insult to injury after this YouTuber was being harassed, his family being harassed and threatened, by siding with the poop throwers, his, ethnocentrism, of course. Dinesh's been promoting this idea that, America's a colorblind society, should be a colorblind society. Race shouldn't matter in America, but there he is siding with his fellow Indians, putting his race first above country. This meme perfectly illustrates what Dinesh just did there. You have Americans, being quite shocked at the poop festival over there in India, and there's Dinesh D'Souza trying to run interference. And let's not forget that Vivek Ramaswamy, who is an Indian anchor baby, in case you didn't know, who's running for governor of Ohio, went off on American culture and was very upset that people didn't want millions or hundreds of thousands of more Indians flooding our country through the H-1B work visa loophole on Christmas Day last year of all days. I mean, at least Ed Coulter is a real one and said this during an interview with Vivek back when he was running for president.
Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
And since we're on the topic of immigration, in case you've been living under a rock or you're new, and since we're on the topic of legal immigration, in case you're new here, you should know that the Nationality Act of 1790, which was a law put into place by the first Congress after the United States was created, set the rules for who could become a citizen in the United States. And those rules were very clear. You had to be a white person. Certainly, they didn't expect people like J.D. Vance to marry an Indian woman who was born in America, so she's a natural-born citizen, the daughter of Indian immigrants who obviously didn't assimilate into American culture. And he's such a cuck that he wore a dress and a dot on his head at his wedding. Okay. But speaking of those with Indian heritage who have assimilated into American culture, meet Nikki Haley's son, who is now a young man and made his first appearance on Fox News recently, denouncing legal immigration. Okay, sounding like one of us.
A lot of people are surprised at your position on H-1B visas because you're Indian American,
they
and
shouldn't
H-1B
be.
visas a lot of them go to Indian Americans.
He's not an Indian American. He is an American who has some Indian heritage, and I believe he is half white. Nikki Haley's husband is white, or maybe even a quarter Indian. I'm not even sure if Nikki Haley is 100% Indian, but whatever. We will accept you. You're an honorary white guy.
Right. Well, I mean, they shouldn't be, because I've seen how it's affected my friends and those around me. At the end of the day, my loyalty is to America. I don't have any, and that's part of assimilation. What we saw with Obama is that we had a lot of immigrants coming here, and the thought was, oh, you don't need to change. You don't need to have your loyalty to America. You could be who you are. No, you need to assimilate, and you need to act like an American and support American values and support American workers and American people. So yeah, we should absolutely ban it.
Absolutely. And in a perfect world, this would actually be a real toy, not just a deep fake Sora-generated meme.
From Playworld, the ICE Agent Detention Center and Deportation Station.
Gotcha.
Fire the mobile van's net gun to snag the suspects.
Boom, they're caught.
Load them in the launching catapult.
And sounding back.
Over the border wall. Detention Center, van with net gun.
While unfortunately the ICE Deportation Center is not available for Christmas, the Trump Claus knit sweater is, from my online store at markdice.com. This is different than the printed t-shirts. This has the design woven into the yarn on these knit sweaters. These are custom orders, so you got to get your orders in, I think over the next 2 weeks in order to get them in time for Christmas, and then I'll have them all knit up and shipped out. But it's a limited time only. So they're available in red, black, and green. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.